I'm delighted to be talking with Steve Hertzberg from NRG Solutions, a corporate training company. Again, hello Steve.
Hi Robert.
Welcome back.
Thank you, nice to be back.
Good, nice to have you back. Well look, the topic of networking I think is what we're going to talk about today, and not so much the online networking but that good old-fashioned face-to-face networking. What do you think? Are we spending too much time online and not enough face-to-face? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think what's happened in the last few years is a lot of people have got comfortable with using LinkedIn or using Twitter, and they feel that that's a way of really networking. Well, it's called social networking.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't use that, but I think it's lazy man's
You're saying
networking.
it's not, you can't just tick the box and assume that that's networking covered.
Well, I'm a bit old school. I think proper networking is face-to-face. Well, you need both, face-to-face as well as social, but I thought we could chat more around the face-to-face.
Yeah, sure. So for somebody watching this who's maybe is a little bit not so good at face-to-face, do you have some tips as to how we can kind of get into it and how we can succeed with it?
Yeah, I think the first thing is it's natural to feel a bit awkward about networking. I mean, not for you or for me, we're probably quite comfortable in this space. But a lot of people do feel a bit uncomfortable about even that word, networking. So first thing I'd say is have a plan.
Right.
And think about things that you can measure. For example, how many events do you go to?
Yep.
Do you write articles on a regular basis? How many phone calls do you make to your contacts? So that's stuff that you can actually measure.
Yep.
And ideally in that plan, start with people who you know, like people who
I
are
guess
like
that's where a
you.
lot of the discomfort comes, isn't it? Is going to someone that you've never met before with the sense that you're there to kind of sell to them, which is the wrong mindset to have, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's a terrible mindset. I mean, to me, networking is always going to be more about what you give than what you get. So I generally say start with people who you know, who you like, who you trust. So your network could be people who you went to school with or university. It could be through a sporting group, your church, your synagogue, whatever it is, people who you know. That's a great place to start. There's already a connection.
But again, somebody watching this who might think, well, you know, that's all very well, I go and meet my old school friends, but I don't want to sell to them. But again, it's not, we're not selling, we're building relationships, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you try to remove the word selling. I think one thing is your contacts need to be aware of what you do.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't mean you have to sell to them, but they need to know if you're a good accountant or a good solicitor, maybe a good tiler, whatever it is, people need to know that you do that.
Yep.
And then most people like referring other people anyway, if they're good and they like them and they trust them. So if you don't explain what you do clearly to other people,
You're sitting
you're already
alone
a
by
bit
yourself
stuck.
and the phone's not ringing.
That's right.
Okay, so you develop a plan. Where do we go to next?
Well, I think once you get a plan, the key is, look, it's like exercise. You've got to stick with it a bit, haven't you? I mean, you and I know this. You can join the gym, but unless you go regularly, not much is going to happen. And I've tried that over the years a few times. You've got to keep going.
Yeah.
A bit like all brand. You've got to be regular.
Yeah.
So I'd say the key is, like we're doing now, we're sitting now, and I say SIT, stay in touch. That's really important. But get that balance between staying in touch but not being a stalker.
Yeah, okay.
So how do you, and you would have seen this a lot over the years, you meet someone and then before you know it, they're sending you an email newsletter 3 times a week.
Yeah,
and you think,
48
well,
megabyte attachment or something.
yeah, it's like, hang on a minute, I don't really know you and now you're hassling me too much. So I think there's a real skill in how do you, you've got to build your network, build your contacts, but then stay in touch with them often enough and provide things that are going to be of value to them.
Yeah. And what is often enough, do you think? Most, is it possible to say?
It's a good question. I think people are now, they're going too much.
Yeah.
My view is generally about maybe every couple of months is a touch point. But when you have a touch point, give them something new and something of value. Don't just hassle them to say you got a new course on or you got a special offer on or, I mean, I don't think that's proper networking. I think that's almost boring.
So it might be sharing something that interests that you've found on the internet, something that you've read, some fact that you've learned.
Yeah. Something,
kind of thing.
something that would be of value to them.
Yep.
So for example, you're heavily involved with a small business community. If I see there's a terrific event coming up in the States, I might not be going, but I might say, hey Rob, here's something that might be...
I think you've done that before.
Well, I might have, I don't know,
there
but
you
here's
go.
something that might be of value to you.
Yep.
Just shows you that you're shows them
thinking
you
of
think.
them.
That's
Yeah.
all. That's
Okay,
all.
so have a plan, stay in touch.
Maybe my final tip today would be, if you find a group of people who you get on well with, I'd say, I call it FYOG, form your own group.
Right.
Get together maybe once a month, have breakfast, have a chat, talk about what you're doing.
You've done this yourself, haven't
Yeah,
you?
we've got our own group going. And maybe it might be that you refer some work to each other.
Yeah.
But generally people if you get on well with them, they can become a great support for you. And I'd really recommend
share your anxieties and your issues and
absolutely.
problems and successes.
They're going to know other people. And so I guess the three things from today: have a plan. That's really important.
Yeah.
Stay in touch with the people in your group, and then finally, form your own group.
Yeah.
And to perhaps cap it all off, you've got to keep networking. It's not something, this is a big mistake people make. They go, oh, I did networking last year. Well, that doesn't work like that.
No.
You've got to keep doing it. Every day there's opportunities. So that would
Great.
be my comment.
Steve, very practical tips. As usual, thank you so much. If we want to find out more about you, nrgsolutions.com.au.
.au.
Okay, Steve, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Robert.
Cheers.